All right, cool. First time, Coach All Sports that we've done this live, so we'll see how it goes. If you like it, well, we'll do it again. Got nothing else to do. We got softball season coming up, maybe, so we got to get ready. But I thought I'd talk to a good friend of mine, Coach Oehlke, who coaches science school, North Dakota State College of Science. They went off to a good start.
Yes, we were. We started off 6-0 before the big coronavirus scare. So.
Okay. You went up to Minot to play.
Yes, we went up our conference. We played in the Mondac conference. They
Okay.
had we have a preseason tournament in Minot, so all the teams gather up there to play. Let's see, we got 3 games in there, and we played down in Rochester.
Okay. And who did you play?
We started out the year with Dawson Community College, who's, I believe they won the conference the last 6 years in a row.
Now, is their softball kind of known like the baseball is? I mean, they got a pretty stout baseball program.
Very good softball program. They are Division II, we're Division III. So the difference in divisions are based on your number of scholarships. We have 0 scholarships, they can have up to 18. So
Okay, so who's all in the region?
our region consists of Miles City, Montana, Dawson, which is in Glendive, Montana, Williston State, Dakota College of Botno, Lake Region, and then us. And then starting next year, Bismarck is adding a team.
Okay. I thought they had a team out there.
Yes, they did up until 3 years ago, then they dropped softball, and now they're adding it.
Okay, because they had a couple players that, one that actually, I remember Caitlin played for them. And I remember playing at science school. We went up and watched, I don't know if we took the team up there, but I remember playing, so.
Yeah, so that'll be good, it'll make it.
So you're kind of on the outskirts, you got a little bit of travel.
Yeah, we do, so if you like traveling in vans and buses, I got a place for you, because from here to Miles City is a bit of a trip.
Now that scholarship thing, I know you and I have talked about it in the past, that it's kind of a tough, you're in a tough position, because being Division III and not having any scholarships, the basketball players and the volleyball players that are on scholarship can't play for you.
Correct, yes, so if anybody receives a scholarship in another sport, then they can't play softball.
Because those other sports, now the volleyball and the basketball are both Division I JUCO.
Yeah, volleyball is, I believe, D2, and
okay.
Basketball is D1.
D1.
So a lot of people think, I have had people ask me, they think the junior college thing is I want to play softball, volleyball, softball, basketball, or try all 3. It doesn't quite work that way.
Right.
I've had one kid in the 4 years I've been there, she played volleyball and softball, but she was so she couldn't accept a volleyball scholarship.
Volleyball scholarship. Okay. All right, cool. Now, this was going to be was this the inaugural year for baseball at science school?
Next year.
Next year.
Yes.
Okay. So, how do you think that'll affect you guys?
It's hard to say. I've met and talked with the baseball coach a few times. He'll be D3 as well. So, it's going to be a tough start for him. Our conference is tough. It's very tough. And then, I envision that when we travel for conference games now, we'll have to travel, or we will travel together.
Together. So then you'll get the big bus.
Yeah, then we'll take a big bus. So.
Okay.
I don't know how having 15 girls with 30 baseball guys, I grew up playing baseball, so I know what baseball guys are like.
Well, I know. I played basketball at JUCO, and we didn't travel. We went to a lot of the same places, but we just did the van thing, and so we weren't in the same vehicles with the girls. So, which is probably a good thing at that point in time.
We'll try it once. We'll see how it goes.
Okay. How about the community support? Has that been getting a little better, growing a little bit?
Yeah, I feel like things have completely changed since when I first got there. Community is really behind us. When I go places in the community, people are always talking about coming out, watching a game, supporting the girls. They're more known on campus. There's a lot of campus support. So.
Okay. Now, players. I know it's playing in college, and you know, there's a little bit of commitment there that they're probably, you know, isn't at the high school level, but it's not like you're going to a D1 school where it's 12 months out of the year.
Right.
But you want local players, don't you? Or,
Yes, I mean, I fully would like, this year I do have some North Dakota kids coming in. Right now on my roster, I do have 2 North Dakota kids, I want to say, so 2 out of 15.
Okay. But it's not from a lack of not trying, because I know you've been out.
Yes, yes. It's tough because North Dakota, locally, you know, we do to compete in our conference. You know, again, if we're playing schools that have scholarships, to compete, we do a full fall schedule. So you're looking at 10 to 15 games. So we actually start practice. Basically, we started, I think, a day or 2 before classes even started this year. We practice and play games through mid-October.
And those are pretty fun games. I mean, you're playing NDSU and Morehead State.
No, we don't play. So we didn't play NDSU, but we played. We played Morehead State, Jamestown, Mayville, Crookston. So tough competition.
Okay.
You know, so for a freshman right out of high school to play, you know, Division II universities, it's an eye-opening experience for them.
Now, Devils Lake, they have a very good coach up there, like yourself. He's also a pitcher. Now, didn't they start with some scholarships, or they do?
Yes,
have?
they do have scholarships.
They
yes.
do.
So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Is that something that you'd like to see?
I'm kind of torn because obviously I would like to have scholarship money. I mean, I feel I'm getting good players now. If I had scholarship money, I probably could get a little better, and I could give some of the kids that I have now some scholarship money. Thing is, if it, you know, 18 is the max, and you start, you know, I don't want to start with 2 or 3 and try to compete against 18. You know,
Right.
you got to either go in or.
I know the first year that you came down and pretty pumped, and you had 21 on the roster ready to go, and I believe I told you something about if you've got 11 or 12, you'll be doing pretty good by spring, and you ended up with around 13 or something.
My first year, so I live in Moorhead, Minnesota. There was plenty of trips back home that I spent crying because I've never had so many people just quit. You know, I'd walk into the dorms, just try to find bodies. They'd come out, play a week or 2, and then I'd see their uniform in my mailbox, and that was the end of that. So
It's a different experience, you know. When I played basketball, it wasn't so bad, but I know the football was, you know, you get kids coming and going and whatnot,
Yeah.
you know. So that's a change, because prior to that, you were at Concordia.
Concordia for 1 year as a pitching coach, yes.
Okay. And then prior to that, we faced each other once or twice,
Yes.
or 4 times a year for quite a few years.
Yeah. 4 years at Kindred.
Yeah.
And then one when they were a club, so 5 years.
Okay, yeah, so that's the history that Mike and I have for a while, a lot of respect, and maybe a couple beers now and then over the deal, so.
Folks.
Yeah. If you got any questions, feel free to chat. I got someone sitting there looking at the little chat thing, and this is something new for us, so if there's something you want to see, you gotta let us know, talk about. Your players.
Yes.
Let's talk about 2 years ago and the team you had.
So 2 years, that was my first recruiting class. So even though my first year I had a lot of kids quitting, and I really hit, you know, I didn't want to go through that ever again. So I really hit the recruiting hard. Again, didn't have very many local kids. You know, we had a really good player out of Hawaii, catcher from Alaska, another catcher from Washington. Got lucky and got a really good pitcher out of Sioux City, Iowa. Really good center fielder out of the cities, which is fairly local.
So how do you find those kids, or they find you, or?
I find them. Not many kids come knocking on my door. I mean, now it's different. It's a little different now, but back then, you know, people didn't even know the college existed or had a softball team.
Right.
So
Yeah. What put Science softball on the map?
I think it's just getting the word out there. You know, if I can get kids on the campus sells itself. Kind of, you know, it's a decent-sized campus, has kind of a university feel.
It's
to the
nice.
housing.
Yeah. But you had some success too.
Yes, very well. You know, winning solves a lot of issues. So the last, you know, this year and the last 2 years, we've been able to win games. So that certainly is.
Now, 2 years ago, you really had a Cinderella season.
Yeah,
per se.
yeah, we went from 4 wins my first year to 3rd in the nation that year. Yes.
Yeah, so that's Division III JUCO, 3rd in the nation, you know. Was that pretty fun?
It was very fun, yeah, because we had there was a lot basically riding on that season. That was my one time to try to get this going in the right direction.
Right.
And get support behind it.
And
we would have failed.
like you said, winning
Yeah.
helps.
Yeah.
That does. So, the girls this year, where'd they come from?
Oh, so this year I had a really good group, 14 freshmen, 1 sophomore who was a local kid from Castleton, Maddie Sweet.
Okay.
But I have 2 freshman pitchers, really good pitchers, pitching drives, obviously that's what gets you
Right. Yep.
success. Good pitcher out of Gaylord, Minnesota, down by Mankato, and another good pitcher from Hardin, Montana. So a ways away, and then I have another pitcher out of Sioux Falls, so,
Okay.
or Brandon Valley, I guess.
And we talked a little bit, just before we went live here, we've got some kids that come from out of the area. And they've been struggling here a little bit the last couple of weeks on where they can go.
Yeah, so I think on our roster we have 15 players, and they're from 11 different states. So we had I had an outfielder from Washington, she clearly can't go home right now. Another Hawaiian kid, she's holed up in Atlanta, waiting to get back here to grab her stuff out of the dorm. Kid from just north of Los Angeles, she's on lockdown. A kid from the Washington DC area, she's on lockdown. So everybody's in good spirits, but we left with the intention that we were going to come back, start up practice, and then everything got shut down. So they still got their belongings in the dorms.
And I know you maybe don't know, but as far as eligibility goes, does that change, or are the sophomores they're done?
Well, everybody's getting their year back. Okay. So the NJCA has awarded everybody their eligibility back.
So then I guess the second question would be, are they coming back?
With junior college, things are always changing. A couple kids came, now with so many kids taking dual credits, they can come for a year, get a liberal arts, play a year of college softball, with a plan to get them to another school, 4-year. So I have a couple kids in that situation. Some kids come, they miss home. It's tough. You're up here. You get kids from sunny areas, warm areas, and they're up here in the gray and the snow for months at a time. It's rough on them. So I think the majority of them will be back. But we'll see here in the next couple of weeks.
So basically, if you're a young player or a senior in high school and you're looking for something to do next year, science school might be the fit.
Yeah, it is. Very competitive program. Play a very competitive schedule. I think even though we're D3. Last year, I think we only played 4 games against D3 competition. The rest was D2, D1, or NAIs. And this year was roughly about the same. I think we probably had, besides Botno, who's also D3, I think we might have played 2 other schools that were D3. So all the rest is D2 and up. So very, very tough.
So yeah, check it out. Look up Coach Oehlke, look for his cell number, and
shoot me an email, text,
whatever. This day and age, everybody's online, so now's the time. So this year, what would you say to? And I've brought some help along here tonight. What would you tell players that see North Dakota? We're still holding out hope. I mean, we've as a high school coach, we've and myself coaching. There's been years that. One year we didn't get on the field until the last week of April, and we still finished the season. So for us, I'm still holding out hope. It's very easily done. 6 teams in the region, or in the sub-region. That means you're playing 5 games. That's 5 doubleheaders, 10 games. That doesn't take more than a couple weeks to get that done. Play a region tournament, and you can still get to a state tournament. So what would you tell? We're going to talk about pitching a little bit. What would you tell the young pitchers to work on now? Because we just don't know. We're in limbo. But they still need to be doing stuff.
I think, obviously throwing. We do a lot of, we don't really, besides the Christmas break, that's about the only time the pitchers take off from actual throwing and working out at NDSCS.
But you know as well as I do, especially in the small schools, that a lot of them aren't doing much until after basketball's done.
Right.
And right now we're kind of in that same boat. We're not having practice, we're not having open gyms, so these guys got to do stuff on their own.
Yeah. I mean, I would throw into a net. I mean, we do that. We throw into a net, a 9-pocket, whatever you can get if you get a friend. Throw against the wall. Whatever you can do to just get some throwing. You can do, this year we did a lot more, dry reps, I guess you could say. So
Right.
I mean, that's something, really work on your mechanics doing
See, a lot of kids I know, the first thing they want to do is they want to do full pitching.
Right.
They don't put the workout in before. They want to go, that's warm up a little bit, now I'm ready to go. And I know of at least one pitcher that tried that and threw her arm out, or threw her shoulder out, and she's done for the year. So, not the thing to do.
Right.
So let's start with Kirsten. You want to come on out?
Grab your glove.
Grab your glove. Kirsten, and I'm going to move out of the way here a little bit. Kirsten is an 8th grader. She's been working out for the last couple months for us. She's been working a little bit with Coach Oehlke. So.
Yes, she comes up to NDSCS. She was coming up every week before things got out of hand here.
I'm going to step out a little bit. I'll get some of this out of your way, and then you can go at it.
All right. So the big thing that we can always do if you're just working with yourself and throwing into a net, we can just start with K's, right? So if she can go into her K position, as she was doing. So she's just basically got to throw. So if she had a bucket of balls here, she could just throw into the net, work on her mechanics, doing this. She's got a little bit of her heel up there as if she's pushing off the rubber. Front foot's roughly 45 degrees, and she's going to just throw the ball into the net. So we do that. This is something we do daily. So this is something big you can always do on your own just to get loose, warmed up. If you got a short distance, go ahead and do a couple more. So basically we can do these all day, and then we can work on, the big thing is as Mike was saying, we don't want to throw the ball as hard as we can, but a big thing we do need to work on is movement, right, and spin. So we want to work on getting nice tight spins.
As a pitching coach, and especially at the Division I level, you see everybody's throwing 65.
Right.
65 to 70, pretty average. You get some of them up in that 72, 73, but from what I'm seeing, it's the movement.
Yes.
And the change of speeds.
So, yeah, movement is the big thing.
So what you talked about, you just mentioned the movement on the ball. That's what you're working on when you're doing these things. You're not just doing this just because, right? I mean, there's a purpose behind it.
Right.
So.
And even though she's just throwing basically fastballs here, she's only an 8th grader, so she's not going to have, she can start learning the movement pitches. She starts working out, but she's not going to have them down quite yet, right? But we can just, she can throw her fastball different ways, and the ball's going to cut, whatever. You can just play around with it, the amount of pressure you put on the ball.
And this is the time to be doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So anytime you're playing catch, I would just work on holding the ball different ways and see which way the ball cuts and how you can make the ball move, right? So we can work on spins out of here. So she does throw a changeup, I know, so she can just do K's with her changeup, work on her change, her grip, getting her weight down on her front side. So we can do a few changeups. Right?
There's a whole bucket behind you too.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why I keep running over here. Okay, and then another good thing that we do is we get down on her knee. So if she goes down on her back knee, she can work fastball from here. Go ahead. She can work on rise ball from here. If she threw rise, this is good for rise. We want to get back a little bit for rise, working on making the ball spin up, right? Getting good rotation on it. If we go on the front one, she can work on her changeup. So you can throw her, we want to get her weight down on the front so she can throw change up from here.
And how long? How long are we doing these?
Well, we usually do these, so we do these with the catcher, obviously, and we're about, 20, 25 feet, I would guess.
But for somebody that's stuck in their garage,
Yeah, I mean, if you just, this is all the distance you have, it's just, learning your body control, how to get your weight shifted, and basically how to spin the ball, so.
because you're not so worried about high and low,
Right.
right? You're just more worried about just the fundamental part of
Yeah.
it.
So if she gets down on her front knee, she can do drop off from there as well. So this is good for your working on your drop, right? So do that. The big thing is we want to work on cinching our core, right? So she's using both halves of her body.
So what are you doing? What are you doing with some of the kids and core muscles? We talked about that earlier.
We do, well, so basically they have a workout plan that they go through. When we do that basically November 1st through Christmas break. And then we do, good old fashioned running is
Sprints or distance?
We do some sprints, but right now basically the sprints that we do are about, home to first 60 feet. We don't get crazy. We'll just do about a 60-foot sprint. But we do some laps, around. So we do laps, and box jumps are big too.
But it's getting nice out.
Yeah.
Pushing
Nice.
50 here this weekend, and at least for us in this part of the state. But get out running a little bit,
Yeah, you got to have strong legs, right, to pitch. That's the thing. Now with the new rules, you guys can step back.
Right. Do you want to describe that a little bit as to how that works? Just use one of those white
We'll
lines.
use this
as a-
line as the pitching rubber. So in the old way, or I guess high school, you could always step back, right? But she had to toe up. So basically, she would start. I'm left-handed, so it's going to be a little different. But I would have, heel to toe on the rubber. But now you can step back. So college, you can start back. So I can start back. See this? I can't move my foot back any further from where I start. But in high school, you guys can step back, right?
Now, is that before the split, or
So once you get on the rubber, your foot has to be set, and then you gotta give the visual that you're taking a sign.
okay? No, and they did. I think I heard that they do that for ASA now too for summer ball.
Yeah, everything is now.
Everything is the same.
Yeah. So me coming from men's fast pitch, I can see throughout the years, everything's kind of following, the men's rules change first, trying to get more people involved in pitching, I guess I could say, you would say.
Make it a little easier.
Make it easier, yeah. And everything kind of seems to be following, like now women's professional and international, they can leap.
Well, they can.
Yeah, so it's all kind of heading in that.
Of course, we all know that finally 2020 Olympics was going to get softball back in it, and now it's delayed.
Yeah,
So,
postponed a year, right?
postponed a year.
Right now.
Yeah. See how it goes. So,
Yeah.
but okay. What else you got for endurance,
So
strength?
let's go over this. So she basically she can step back. So go ahead and show them the step back. So she'll actually come back with her foot. So she's here. She'll just step back, and then get her weight back, and then we drive off.
And how important is that for someone the size of Kirsten?
Well, I've been preaching, legs are the most, and we call it clearing space, getting away from the rubber, is one of the most important things, right? So when you have to toe up, and then you used to see everybody swinging their arms, it wasn't as easy to do that. Now we can get our weight back, push off the rubber.
So you're going to probably see a little bit quicker pitching.
You should, yeah. Yes, for sure.
So
Yeah. So it is a big rule change. I mean, it's huge.
yeah, it is. And it's a little bit different for everybody, coaches, umpires, pitchers. You know how pitchers are. They kind of get set in their ways. And when you
Yeah.
change, if you change their toe angle or put a P under it, some of them get kind of upset. So
Yeah.
when you're going to that full step, I'm just glad everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
You know,
The other thing is toe drag. We used to see a big, you'd see the big cut in the dirt or whatever. So we try to eliminate as much toe drag as possible. So it's just the tip of your
You
toe.
don't like them trenches.
No. That's like a boat anchor holding you back, right? You want to get as far away, push off as far as you can, right? So we try to have the least amount of contact. We want to be as close to illegal as possible.
As close without stepping across.
Right.
Right.
So, yeah. So, given if you just have a garage, what other drills can we do? We do up against the wall, you know, so you can get against the wall. Do arm circles. You get that, right? You can maybe do it over here. Go ahead and do a few of those. Yep. So she just works on her arm circle. Her mechanics, basically, so her elbow's not flying out, she's not getting out of line.
No, we do that. My team does that. Kirsten, you want to show them what we use when we do that? Laying in the pail there.
This?
Yeah.
Should I do it?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Ah.
See, now when you're in the gym and you're hitting a brick wall, you know, you change in a hurry. Here, not so much, but this is something easy. It's all I did was took a string, took a couple old balls, drilled a hole through it. Growing up, I shouldn't say growing up, years back when my daughter used to pitch, we did it in the house with my tube socks, 2 balls in a tube sock, and threw it that way. Then we decided to do this, and it's something that you can lock your hand into. I know they make them on the market. You can go buy them off Amazon and whatever, but I made a bunch of these real simple. The nice thing about having the hook on it is it doesn't go through the ceiling or the window when you're in the house. But you do got to have a little bit taller ceiling, which most people do in the garage. So, growing up, or I should say when Terry was growing up, we did this pretty much year round. It was about 35 to 40 times a day. Just got into that routine, and this is something that I'm hoping all my pitchers are doing right now, is doing that every day. Works on, like you said, works on the arm circle, but it also helps create that whip that you want to have. So it does a little bit of everything. So, couple other things. Now we were at you want to straighten that out?
Yeah, I was at this when he won this.
We were at a show, and I do what I did best is I talk a lot, and happened to be the last one walking out of the place. And
me, you, and Jason Lindgren, right?
Yep. And instead of having to order one, I ended up. They said, "Hey, we're at our last show. You want to take this home?" And I said, "Sure, that'd be great." Bow net kit. We do a lot of stuff with the lineup. Is that something that you guys?
We don't do so much with the line, but we do. For example, we do throw these, so I'll have them work their spins with this ball. You know, regular ball. I have a lot of men's balls which don't have the race seams; they're a little bit more slick, so they work on that.
This, if you don't know, it's just going to help create that. See where your spin is. They bow net put 2 of them in. One's for a 2-seam, one's for a 4-seam. So depending on what you throw, it gives you an idea how much spin you're going to have on the ball and if you can throw it straight. Now the best pitcher I ever had wouldn't be able to throw one of these. She threw a natural screwball and she could never get that ball to spin nice and tight. It spun. She had a lot of movement, but it went that way. So we'll get the girls working on these a little bit. Also 3 different sizes, weights I should say. This one was interesting. I know we talked about this one a little bit. It's really, really, really light.
Yeah.
And do you remember what the theory was behind that?
I don't recall other than, you know, I think it's just you because there's a heavier one too, right? So
these 2 are heavier and then that one's lighter.
I'm not a big lighter, just because I don't know. Whenever I pitch like wiffle balls or light flights, they really seem to ruin my shoulder.
Okay.
So anything
That was a question I had because you're really going to be able to whip this thing. But okay, let's talk about the heavy balls a little bit then. How often do you throw these?
We only do like 5, you know, throw it 5 and then move to the next one 5.
Okay.
We don't get crazy with it because I don't think you want to throw it any more than that.
Okay. No, and you know, obviously we're indoors now, but you know, we can go outside and do some long toss, but as far as getting into shape, if you don't have a choice, you know, these aren't bad. You know, the nets nowadays, you can pick these up online for $70, $65, $70 if you looked on sale.
Right now everything's on sale.
Everything's on sale, yeah.
Everybody's great deals.
Yeah. So, anything else?
What else do we do? Well, we do a lot of long toss, so we'll work our way back. We do long toss change-ups. We'll do everything long toss.
Now, when you do your long toss, you start short, work all the way back, and then work your way back in.
So
or-
once we're loose and we went through our pitches and everything, then we'll work our way back. So you'll throw about 3, then go back 3 till you max out. Then we work our way back in.
Now, when you say max out, are you throwing hard enough that you're losing your form a little bit?
Basically, when they get to the back, they're doing like walkthroughs.
Okay.
So
And as long as it can reach the catcher,
yeah,
you're still going.
Change
Even if
up
it's got a
speed.
little bit of a,
Yeah.
little bit of
change
a
ups we hump in there.
Because once you get past second base and get towards the outfield, you know, takes a little bit of oomph.
Yep.
You know, especially, not to say anything bad, but someone like Kirsten, who's a little over 5 foot,
Yeah.
I assume.
Yeah, I mean everyone's going to be.
Well, you're gonna be, getting close, okay? But you look, you go online and look at some of the best pitchers out there weren't big and tall. I mean, they're not all Jenny Finch,
No.
you know?
My one pitcher, Sid, that works with her, she's not tall, would you say? 5'7" maybe?
Okay.
She's, you know,
Got a little more oomph.
Yeah.
Potatoes,
big
meat
legs.
and potatoes, right?
Yeah, a lot of meat and potatoes.
All right, there we go. Thanks, Kirsten, for helping out. Good thing you can stick around afterwards and throw a little bit. Get a good session in, as long as you got a
That's right.
glove, like,
Beautiful weather.
you know. Yeah, I can't play catch with you, but there's no reason you can't throw the coach here for a little bit, so. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, whether you watch live, whether you watch this later. Leave some comments, let me know. We can do a little bit of hitting, we can do whatever you want, so just let me know. Thanks, Coach Oehlke, for coming in.
Gonna have some free time now, so.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of free time. If you wanna see, learn something, Coach has taught some of the best pitchers, you know, in the state as far as high school goes, and you can see what he did as far as junior college, what turned the program around that I know went a couple of years without maybe winning the game to 4 wins, you said, your first year,
Yeah.
and then third in the country, folks, 2 years ago, so that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. So if you want to learn something, give Coach a call. Other than that, I think we're gonna head out. So
All right.
thanks, everybody tuning in, thanks, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Stop. Just at the very end, it was going
You killed it.
yellow, green, red, yellow, green, red.